بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Welcome everybody to Al-Isra University e-learning. And this presentation in Human Resource Management class, I will be presenting chapter 7 in our textbook, which entitled Training and Developing Employees. This in page 184, Training and Developing Employees. And this chapter will cover the orientation and onboarding new employees. We will give an overview of the training process and implementing the training programs. Then we will talk about implementing management development programs, and then we will explain managing organizational change programs, and lastly we will talk about evaluating the training efforts. These are the main points we will cover in this chapter. Okay, firstly we will talk about the orientation, the process or onboarding new employees. After selecting the employees, we couldn't guarantee that they will perform effectively. Even high potential employees can't do their job if they don't know what to do or how to do it. When we select the employees carefully, we cannot guarantee that they will do their job effectively. Making sure your employees do know what to do and how to do it is the purpose of orientation and training. So by the process of orientation and training, we make sure that our employees know what to do and how to do it. The purpose of employee orientation or onboarding the process still provides new employees with the information they need to function. Ideally, thought it should also help new employees start getting emotionally attached to the firm. You want to accomplish 4 things by orienting the new employees. So the employee orientation means a procedure of providing new employees with basic background information about the firm. It's a procedure of providing new employees with the basic background and information they need to know about the firm. Okay, these are 4 things need to be accomplished. Firstly, make the new employee feel welcome and at home and part of the team. Yes, the orientation process we make the new employee feel welcome and at home and as a part of the team. We also make sure that the new employee has the basic information to function effectively, such as email access, personnel policies, benefits, and what the employer expects in terms of work behavior. We also help the new employee understand the organization and a broad sense, its past, present, culture, strategies, vision, mission, and the future. We also, by the orientation process, we start the person on becoming socialized into a firm's value and ways of doing things. These are the 4 things that to be accomplished by orientation new employees. Okay, the orientation process. The length of the orientation program depends on what you cover. The length is depend on what you cover. Traditional programs take several hours. In the traditional programs, it takes several hours. The human resource specialists, or in smaller firms, the office manager, usually performs the first part of the orientation by explaining basic matters like working hours, benefits, vacations. That person then introduces the new employee to his or her new supervisor. So firstly, the human resource specialist or office manager explaining the basic matters like working hours, benefits, vacations. Then they introduce the new employees to his or her supervisor. So the supervisor continues the orientation by explaining the organization, introducing the person to his or her new colleagues, familiarizing him or her with the workplace, and helping to reduce first day jitters. For new employees in general, and particularly people with disabilities, integration and socialization is highly influenced by the behavior of co-workers and supervisors. Okay, so here the process is depend on the human resource specialist and the supervisor, and it is highly influenced by behavior in the disabilities, and it needs a focus more because they may highly influenced by behaviors or of co-workers or supervisors. This is for disabilities. Okay. New employees should receive and sign for print or internet-based employee handbooks covering matters like this. So in the orientation process, we may depend on information given by the handbook or through the internet-based employees to give information like benefits, personal policies, daily routine, company organization and operations, safety measures and regulations, and facilities towers. Okay. The employee handbook. Courts may find that the employee handbooks contents represent legally binding employment commitments. Therefore, make it clear that statements of company policies, benefits, and regulations do not constitute the terms and conditions of an employment contract. Okay? Also, employers generally should not insert statements such as no employee will be fired without just cause. This is in the handbook. This information must be included. The company policy, benefits, regulations, and the organizational chart maybe. Orientation technology. Employers use technology to support orientation. For example, some university, new employees spend about 45 minutes online learning. So they use the internet to make the orientation program, or to provide the orientation program to new employees. They spend 45 minutes online learning about their new employer's mission, organization, and policies and the procedures. Some companies like IBM uses virtual environments like Second Life to support orientation, particularly for employees abroad. This is virtual environment. So the new employee choose virtual avatars, which then interact with other companies' avatars, and they can take the orientation program through virtually. Okay. Here in this figure, we see as an example for new employee, this figure in page number 186. This is as example or a form of a new employee departmental orientation checklist. It's a checklist. You see the information here, the name, the hire date, and the number, the job title, department, and departmental orientation company, or completed by. Here the topic and the date of revision, or the date of reviewing it. The topic, human resource information. This information must be introduced to the new employee by this form. Departmental, for example, human resource information includes departmental attendance procedure, and the UCSD medical center work time and attendance policy, job description review, and here is the checklist. License and certification rewards, annual TB screening, vendors, and so annual performance evaluation, and this information regarding the human resource information. In the second section, we see the department information, organizational structure department, and core value orientation, department unit area specific policies, procedures, and so on. Safety information in another section, safety information, facilities information, emergency power, mechanical system, water, medical, and patient room, bed, head wall, bathrooms, nurse call system, and this information in facilities section. And in the last section, security information, the code assignment, the code blue assignment, the red code red evaluation or evacuation procedure, and this is USD emergency number. This form as an example for orientation checklist form used by health center or healthcare website. Okay, this is the checklist, and as we explained earlier, we can use the handbook or the technology or internet orientation. Okay, let's move to learning objective number 2, which is list and briefly explain each of the 5 steps in the training process. Directly after orientation, the training should begin. So, after the orientation process, the training should begin. Training means giving new or current employees the skills they need to perform their job. Giving the new and current employees the skills they need to perform their job. If employees don't know what to do or how to do it, they will improvise or do nothing useful at all. So, training is the process of teaching new or current employees the basic skills they need to perform their jobs. Inadequate training can also trigger negligent training liability. As one expert puts it, it's clear from the case law that where an employer fails to train adequately and an employee subsequently does harm to third parties, the court will find the employer liable. So it's a responsibility of the employer, not only the employee. Employers should confirm the applicant employees' claims of skills and experience and provide adequate training, particularly where employees use dangerous equipment, and evaluate the training to ensure that it's actually reducing risks. So it's the responsibility of the employer. Negligent training, a situation where an employer fails to train adequately and the employee subsequently harms a third party. This is the meaning of negligent training. So the training is the next step after the orientation process. Aligning strategy and training. Aligning strategy and training. So the training programs or training needs must make sense with the strategic plans of the organization. The employer's strategic plans should ultimately govern its training goals. The task is to identify the employee behaviors the firm needs to execute its strategy, and from that deduce what competencies employees will need. Then they need to put in place training goals and programs to instill these competencies. Okay? So the training team also needs to always focus on the bottom line by defining their own purpose and success in terms of how they affect the company's performance. Training has impressive record of influencing performance. It scores higher than appraisal. Training scores higher than appraisal and feedback, and just below goal setting in its effect on productivity. So training scores higher than appraisal and feedback, and just below goal setting. Firstly goal setting, then training, after that appraisal and feedback that affect the productivity. The accompanying strategic contest feature illustrates strategies' role in training and development. There must be a sense between strategic plan and the training. The ADDIE 5-step training process. ADDIE 5 steps of training process. The employer should use a rational training process. The gold standard here is still the basic analysis: design, develop, implement, and evaluate. Analysis, design, develop, implement, and evaluate. ADDIE training process model that training experts have used for years. A means analyze. Analyze the training need. According to this model, A refer to analyze and analyzing the training needs. D, the first D is design the overall training program. D, design the overall training program. The second D is develop the course, actually assembling, creating the training materials. I refer to implement training by actually training the targeted employee group using methods such as on-the-job or online training. E, evaluate the course effectiveness. And we will talk about each step here. Conducting the training need analysis. The training needs analysis should address the employer's strategic longer-term training needs and or its current training needs. If the program is to use technology, the manager should also include a review of the technology he or she plans to use for presenting the program as part of the analysis. So the strategic long-term training needs and its current training needs. Strategic training needs analysis. The strategic goals, perhaps to enter new lines of a business or to expand abroad. This is a strategic or a form of strategic goals. Enter new lines of business or expand abroad. Usually mean the firm will have to fill new jobs. The strategic goal means the firm will have to fill new jobs. Strategic training needs analysis focuses on identifying the training that employees will need to fill these new future jobs. Okay, there must be a tie between the strategic goals and the strategic training. It's clear here. For example, some company decided to build a new high-tech plant. The firm's top management knew the plant's employees would need new skills to run the computerized machines. They worked closely with their HR team to formulate hiring policies and training programs to ensure the firm would have the human resource required to populate the new plant. Okay? This is as an example. Strategic training needs analysis is tied to succession planning. And succession planning we explained later in the previous or in chapter number 2, recruiting. The letter recall means identifying the training and development that employees need to fill a firm's key positions, and then formulating plans to ensure that high potential employees get the training and development to fill the firm's future position. Okay, current training needs. As important as strategic training is, most training efforts aim to improve current performance. Training efforts aim to improve the current performance, specifically training new employees and those whose performance is deficient. Okay, how you analyze the current training needs depend on whether you are training new or current employees. In case of new employees, needs is to determine what the job entails and to break it down into sub-tasks. The main task in analyzing new employees' needs is to determine what job entails and to break it down into subtasks, each of which you would then teach to the new employees. This is for new employees. Analyzing the current employees' training needs is more complex than new employees. Analyzing the current employees' training needs is more complex than analyzing the new employees' needs, because you must also decide whether training is solution. You need to decide whether training is solution. For example, performance may be down because standards are not clear, or because the person is not motivated, not because of lack of training. So managers use task analysis to identify new employees' training needs, and performance analysis to identify current employee training needs. So task analysis to identify new employees' needs, and performance analysis to identify current employees' training needs. Okay. The task analysis, analyzing the new employees' training needs. Task analysis to identify the new or analyze the new employees' training needs. And I here, please focus and remember. Task analysis to identify new employees' training needs, and performance analysis to analyze a current or to identify current employees' training needs. Particularly with lower level workers, it is common to hire inexperienced personnel and train them. Your aim here is to give these new employees the skills and knowledge they need to do the job. Task analysis is a detailed study of the job to determine what specific skills the job requires. For task analysis, job description and specification are essential. This list of jobs specific duties, skills, which are the basic reference points in determining the training required. Managers can also uncover training needs by reviewing performance standards, performing the job, and questioning current job holders and their supervisors. Okay, So it's a detailed study of a job to identify the specific skills required. Some managers supplement the job description and specification with a task analysis record for this consolidate information regarding required tasks and skills in a form that's especially helpful for determining training requirements. Okay, talent management using profiles and competency models. Profiles and competency models. Talent management is the goal-oriented and integrated process of planning for recruiting, selecting, developing, and compensating employees. At the heart of talent management is the idea of using the same profile for recruiting, selecting, training, appraising, and compensating the employees. For training, we can summarize this as follows: strategy, required employee behaviors, required employee skills and competencies, training development needs, training program implementation and evaluation. This is to summarize the training in talent management. Competency model. Many employers use competency models to compile and summarize a job training needs. So we can use competency models to summarize the job training needs. The competency model is a graphic model that consolidates usually in one diagram. A list of the competencies, the knowledge, skills, and behaviors someone needs to do a job well. The competency model. The employer can then formulate training goals and specific training programs aimed at developing these skills and competencies. Okay, so we can use competency model to summarize the training needs. The model's aim is to compile in one place the competencies one needs for doing the job. Okay. Performance analysis, as I mentioned earlier, the task analysis we use to identify the training needs for new employees, but performance analysis analyzing the current employees' training need. For underperforming current employees, you can't assume that training is the problem. In other words, it is lack of training or something else. Yes. For underperforming, it may be because of lack of training or something else. Performance analysis is the process of verifying that there is a performance deficiency and determining whether the employer should correct such deficiencies through training or some other means, like transferring the employee. So the performance analysis, by this process, we can verify if the performance deficiency can be corrected by training or other means. The first step in performance analysis is usually to compare the person's actual performance to what it should be. It's a comparison between the actual performance and the planned or desired performance. Doing so helps to confirm that there is a performance deficiency. There is a gap between the planned and actual performance, and hopefully helps the manager to identify the cause. Examples of performance deficiencies might be here is an example for deficiency. I expect each salesperson to make 10 new contracts per week, but John or someone averages only 6. Here's the difference between the actual performance and the desired or planned performance or expected forecasted performance 10 new contracts, but the actual is only 6. So there is a performance deficiency. Other plants our size average 2 serious accidents per month. We are averaging 5. So the average accidents 2 per month. Here the average is 5, so there is a performance deficiency. There are several ways to identify how a current employee is performing. Here, how to measure the performance or how to identify the performance. First one or some example is performance appraisals, and we will talk later about this in a separate chapter. And job-related performance data, including productivity, absenteeism, tardiness, and so on. Observations by supervisors and other specialists may be also as indicators of the performance. Interviews with the employee or his or her supervisor. Test of things like job, knowledge, skills, attendance, attitude surveys, individual employee daily diaries, and assessment center results, and special performance gap analytical software such as some software. These are several ways to identify the current employee performing. Okay, here I would like to explain learning objective number 4. Explain how to distinguish between problems you can fix with training and those you can't. Here, can't do or won't do. Can't do or won't do. Ferreting out why performance is down is the heart or the heart of performance analysis. Why performance is down. Why spend time training employees when the problem isn't training, but weak motivation? Okay, the manager's aim here is to distinguish between can't do or won't do problems. First, determine whether it is can't do problem. For example, the employees don't know what to do. There are impediments such as lack of tools or supplies, or you have hired people who haven't the skills to do the job, or perhaps there is a need for training. In this case, there is a need of training. If you have hired people who haven't the skills to do the job, here we need to do training programs or to provide training programs. On the other hand, it might be a won't do problem, not can't do problem. In this case, employees they can do a good job if they wanted to. So here they would not do the job. Here, for instance, the solution may be to change the reward system as an example, or for instance, or some other reasons to motivate, or maybe you need to change your motivation system and so on. So now it's clear. We need to distinguish between can't do the job or won't do the job. In can't do, here we need to do or to provide some training program to solve this can't do problem. But in won't do problem, we need to change the reward system and to motivate the employees, because won't do means that the employee can do. He has the skills, the knowledge, and the competency to do the job, but for some reason he would not do it. That's why we need to solve this problem, won't problem, by giving or providing some motivation programs. And I think here it's clear now the difference between can't do and won't do problem. We can stop here at this point, learning objective number 4, and in the next meeting I will continue and proceed in this chapter, learning objective number 5. Thank you so much for listening, and meet you in the next presentation. Thank you so much.